So you want to be pen-abled. I'm your girl. Whether you're an artist, planner, journaler, stationery enthusiast, or the internet just happened to just drop you here, know that you're not alone. There's a thriving and helpful community of fountain pens enthusiasts online, and there's also just like these amazing events and pen shows nationwide. But I will tell you, there's a lot out there, and it can be super confusing and overwhelming, like where to even start. And straight up, you don't always get what you pay for. But worry not, today I'm sharing 5 fountain pens I would get if I had to start all over knowing what I know now. We want great writing experiences, but we don't want to break the bank. Okay, just a little disclaimer. These are just my opinions from my own experiences. Results may vary. Yeah, so let's talk first just nib sizes because it can get a little confusing out there shopping for fountain pens. So I made this little diagram, I guess, but I think it's important to know about what you're looking at when you're looking at nib sizes because they aren't the same really even across brands. But I think the biggest kind of thing to wrap your head around is that Japanese nib sizes are different than Western, or maybe you'll hear European nib sizes. And these are just the brands, like where the brands are. So Japanese, you have Pilot, Platinum, Sailor, and then Western European, pretty much everything else. But you'll notice that the Japanese nib sizes are a little more fine compared to the Western or European nib sizes. And I just always think they are one size off. So the Japanese fine is closer to the Western extra fine. The Japanese medium is close to the Western fine. The Japanese broad is close to the Western or European medium. And then the broad is really broad. It gets thicker than this, but these are kind of the standard ones. And then the Japanese extra fine is just really, really small. So that's something to keep an eye out for. All right, let's get into the roadmap. I do want to say that you can stop at any of these pens and call it, be happy, enjoy life. You don't have to spend a lot of money constantly to enjoy this hobby. Okay, so my first recommendation on the roadmap is to stop at this Zebra Zensations single-use fountain pen. I think this cost me $2 US, and it is a great starting point to see if you like fountain pen writing, if you like the ink flow, and just the experience of fountain pens. It's a very low bar for entry. You can prove to yourself that you won't lose it, because I know for me that was a fear with any kind of fancy pen. I was like, I am going to lose it. So you can prove to yourself that you won't. And I think this is a great starting point because you don't have to worry about ink. You don't have to worry about cleaning and all the additional learning that comes with fountain pens. These do come in several colors, but I have the black one here. And you can see your ink level right here, but it lasts for years and years. Honestly, it doesn't really dry out, and I keep this bedside even still just because it's super reliable. And if I forget to like bring a pen to bed, I do like my nighttime journaling there, then I always have this as a backup. Sailor also makes some similar pens to this, pretty much the same setup with the ink levels here. Similar nib, but just a little more cute. And here are all the colors that it comes in. It comes in a little 6-pack. So this is also something I don't know when these are going to be released, but I will leave as many links as I can in the description down there. But still, this is a great, great starting point. One more thought about this. You don't really get a choice on the nib size with these, but I would say that it is comparable to a fine nib. The next pen I recommend picking up is the Pilot Kakuno or Kakuno. You'll hear it both ways. And I recommend getting the clear one so you can see your ink levels in here and just see how the ink gets to the nib so you kind of understand the mechanics of a pen as you're using it. Another thing to focus on with the Kakuno is the filling mechanism. So you could use cartridges in here, but make sure they're Pilot cartridges. You can just pop those in there. You can see your ink levels getting low, or you can try out a converter if you have bottled ink. But if not, totally cool. Cartridge is probably more recommended at this point. I also recommend this one next because it's super easy to clean. It has a lovely writing experience. It has a super cute nib. Look at that little smiley face on there. You do get to choose your nib size, so you can venture into that, but it's still very low pressure, low commitment. This runs for about $12 to $16, and it's pretty sturdy, so you can throw it in a purse, you can put it in a pen loop, you can, be pretty not precious with it, but you still get a beautiful writing experience. I'm just gonna dip it in Pilot Blue. Next up, I suggest getting the Kaweco Sport in a color that you love. And I think this pen, which was actually my first fountain pen, is visually more interesting. You get more color choices here. And we are definitely moving into the Western or European sizes with the nibs. And so you can kind of pick from there. But this is also a pocket pen, so it is pretty small. And so you can get some experience with pocket pens kind of right off the bat and see if that's something you're interested in. It does post, and that just means that you're putting the cap on the back of the pen that's posted. So it does turn into more of a full-size pen, but it is still a little narrow, a little smaller. Some people do write with it without the cap or unpost it, but that becomes a preference thing. So I think this one is a good one to give a go as well. So you'll get the opportunity to try out more inks because the cartridges for Kaweco are smaller. Let's see. So yeah, here is a Kaweco cartridge. You just take this and pop it in here, but you can see it's pretty small. Usually a typical cartridge is this size or longer. There are some longer ones out there. So with Kaweco, you can try different inks and go through them relatively quickly, get that satisfying payoff of finishing a fill, or sold separately, the Kaweco converter. Very easy to operate. So yeah, you press it in, stick it in ink, pull up, and then you'll have ink in here. And it's a small fill. So again, you can go through it pretty quickly and try out inks because that is part of the fun too. So yeah, with this, I think this one is still a fine nib, but Kawecos go up to a double broad. So with this, you could definitely venture into some of the thicker and juicier pens to see if you enjoy them. So after the Sport, I suggest still one of my favorite everyday kind of pens, the TWSBI Eco. Isn't this one fun? So with this, we are picking up another demonstrator model that's built in, but the most significant thing that we're picking up when we grab this pen is a different filling mechanism. So this is a piston fill pen, which means that when you twist this, there's a thing here. I'll show you on a converter. I don't have any TWSBIs that aren't inked right now because I did a whole video of me inking up all of my TWSBIs perpetually. So we're going to pretend like we're going to shrink this down to this. And so when you twist the back of the TWSBI, it acts like a giant converter that pulls up ink. So it's just this built into this. So with the TWSBI here, you have to have a bottled ink to draw up into the pen because there's nothing, this does not come apart for our purposes, does not come apart, and it's an all-in-one thing. So you have your bottle of ink, you stick it in there, you twist to draw in your ink. And so this is great because you can see very clearly how much ink you have in here. This is also a good pen if you are enticed by the shimmer inks and the inks with sheen and all of those fun properties. The TWSBI Eco kind of takes that on pretty well, and you can see where the shimmer is. So you can, what you want to do with shimmer inks is make sure that it doesn't just sit in one area. So you want to agitate or move the pen around to make sure that the shimmers disperse. So you can see that very well in here. And so this is why this is a good pen, even now. Even for experienced pen users, this is a good pen for shimmer inks. This also introduces us to a larger ink capacity. That's a pretty large area for ink. And so you can commit to longer writing sessions. You can commit to inks a little bit more. And there are a gajillion different TWSBI Eco colors, and there's special colors with different trims and whatnot. And so you start getting into that fun of all the colors as well. And this particular TWSBI is my husband's, and it has a medium nib. Okay, and then I recommend picking up the Asvine V126 in a color of your choosing. As of right now, this is $28.50 on Amazon, and I chose this one as the fifth one because it's just visually elevated from the other pens on the list so far. This is the teal one, and yeah, I love this pen. It's stunning. It's actually a dupe of a $300 plus pen that's beloved in the community. But even with it being a dupe, it is still a great writer. The most significant difference with this pen is that we're introducing another filling system, and this is called the vac fill. So I'm not even gonna say most, a good bit of this barrel will fill up with ink. I will actually show you because it's fun. And you have this back section that twists, that it acts as a shutoff valve. So this pen is great for traveling because there is like a little gasket here that you see that you can twist, that'll go into this part of the pen so you don't get ink coming through. So this is great for travel, but you also, when you're writing, want to unscrew it just a little bit so that your ink is flowing through the pen. Even though the filling system is a little bit different and I'm sure sounds a little complicated with me trying to explain it anyways, it's still really approachable. The fact that you can still see your ink in here is really great. Let me fill it. Atlas Stationers also does like really great vac filling videos. They're so satisfying to watch. So what I did, I just unscrewed this back section and I'm just going to pull all the way out like that. I'm gonna stick it in the ink, press down. You'll hear a little click. And then you just wait and you'll see the ink kind of rush into the pen. Give it a wipe here so we don't get ink everywhere. And then you can go ahead and screw. You don't have to screw it all the way shut because again, we want the ink flowing to the nib. But there we go. We can see the ink in there. Hopefully. But yeah, still, even though a little complicated compared to, let's say, the TWSBI Eco, it's not really. And it's still pretty approachable. And with this and the other pens that I mentioned, you're pretty much getting an intro to all the major types of filling systems that you'll see with modern fountain pens. And with this one, you can start to experiment with swappable nibs, which I really like. So this is a medium nib, but let's say I also want a thick and juicy broad nib. I can just purchase the nib for this pen in a broad and then swap them out by unscrewing this. It's a whole thing, but just know that that is an option with this pen. And actually, you could go back and do the same with the Kaweco as well and breathe new life into your number 3 pen. Oh, it's so good. So lovely. So that's pretty much my roadmap list for pens, and the sky's the limit from there. There are some other great beginner pens that I didn't mention: the Lamy Safari, the Pilot Metropolitan, and the Jinhao 82. There are really a ton, but I just wanted to hit different filling styles, different sizes, and I just thought that the list of 5 here kind of felt like a nice natural progression. But I would love to hear from more experienced pen friends down in the comments about what your own roadmap would look like. Do you agree or disagree with mine? Let's chat about it all. If you're new to the hobby, first of all, welcome. But I also want to know about your journey so far. And if you want to delve into my roadmap for inks, because that's a good time as well and a whole other aspect to this, I'll leave that for you right here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are the best, and I'll catch you all in the next one.